Cheers everyone, Epyx911, welcome to the Elitist Geek, and my look at the MS-3 gaming mouse from Func. Func is a company that, up until the purchase of this mouse, I hadn't heard of. They make mice, headsets, and even keyboards. Take a look at this diagram. You'll see several numbers. 1 and 2 are just your typical left and right click mouse buttons. But I gotta say, the left and right mouse buttons feel perfect for my hand. Now, I have a rather large hand, and you can see my hand relative in some of the clips, relative to the mouse and some of the clips coming up. But for me, the mouse, honestly, it fits like a glove. It's hard to find a mouse that's comfortable for my large hands, but this one feels just right. You can see some grooves to the far right of the mouse. Those are for your outer 2 fingers to rest on. Your middle finger then rests on the right mouse button, your index pointer finger on the left, and your thumb in the groove where you'll see the numbers 4, 5, and 7 on the diagram. Now let's look at some of the features. Starting from the far right, number 8, you'll see this is a profile switch. Now, the onboard memory of this mouse allows you to store 3 profiles. So you could customize your own profiles for a few different games, and using the number 8 button, switch between those profiles. So for example, you could have a profile for World of Warcraft, Diablo 3, and Dungeons of Dreadmore, just as examples, and then switch between them on the fly, which is pretty cool. Taking a look at some of the other features here, if we look at number 9 and 10, those are DPI switches. 9 increases the DPI profile and 10 decreases the DPI. Now, rather than just using a set DPI list, you can actually program 3 different DPI settings, and the 9 and 10 buttons will select between those settings. The MS-3 mouse comes in a box that's very akin to the iPad or iPhone style box from Apple. Definitely a pleasant box to look at. The cord is very nice. It's a braided cord, so it has that cloth material type feel. And as you can see, it's very long, easily giving you enough length to hook up to a computer that's either very close or a medium distance away from you. Here you can see the mouse when it's in my hand. As you can see, here's the underneath of the mouse. My large hand fits very, very comfortably on the mouse. Those are the grooves here on the side that I was talking about. You can see how my fingers just kind of slot right in. There's the side again, thumb index. Let's take a look. So there's a couple of buttons. Those are the side ones that I mentioned. The click on them is very nice. Tactile feel, not too clicky and not too silent, to the point where you're not sure if you've clicked the button or not. Again, scroll wheel was very responsive, but most importantly for me, it just fit nice in my hand. Now, for those of you with smaller hands or clammy hands, this mouse might be a little on the large side and have too much surface space, specifically for those of you with the aforementioned clammy hands. You might find it's just too much mouse real estate. Now let's talk about some of the technical specifications in the MS-3 mouse. It's a 5670 DPI capable mouse, and one of the things that Func with their MS-3 goes out of their way to do is advertise the fact that they use quality components. Now, they say they're equipped with durable Omron switches, and while I'm not a switch expert, I can certainly attest to the click of the switches being very, very comfortable. I am familiar with switches specifically from the arcade industry, so button switches. So I know what a button should feel like, a high quality button, and these certainly feel high quality. Although, to be honest, I've never heard of the Omron switch, and just based on the feel and what I've been able to find out, they do seem to indicate quality. Now, I mentioned that there's onboard memory to store 3 profiles. You can also record up to 255 actions in a single macro, which I thought was a really, really cool feature. There's also a customizable LED light system, and the software is very, very flexible. You can change all kinds of stuff. The typical stuff like your button assignments, your color settings. You've got a macro editor. You can do your firmware updates, polling rate, which is something that not every mouse manufacturer offers. That's the ability to switch your polling rate from 125 hertz all the way up to 1000 hertz. There's also some extras in the software, such as angle snapping and pointer acceleration. And one button that they have trademarked called Instant Aim. And what this does is it switches instantly to another DPI by holding down the Instant Aim button. So what I imagine you could do is if you're doing a headshot with the Instant Aim, switching that, you could engage it in a mode where you've got more of that finite, precise movement, right? Again, headshots come to mind as a perfect example where that would come in super, super handy. Now, the processor that they say they use in this mouse, and I'm also no expert on mice processors, but it's a WT6573 processor, for what that is worth. The sensor they use is an ADNS 9500 sensor. The onboard memory that I mentioned earlier that allows you to store those profiles, that's 512 kilobytes of memory. So half a meg essentially. I mentioned 5670 DPI. In fact, the range is 90 to 5670 DPI. So when you set your DPI profiles, you can switch them anywhere within that range. The mouse has a tracking speed of 5.1 millimeters per second, or 150 inches per second, a max acceleration of 30 grams. The image processing is 10.6 megapixels per second. And it features an adjustable lift-off distance, and of course, as I also mentioned, an upgradable firmware. So, with all of that said, where does this leave you with the MS-3 gaming mouse from Func? Well, for me personally, it was love at first touch. I instantly loved this mouse. Just from trying it, I'd moved from a G500S. I had nothing but trouble with that series of mouses. This feels a lot better than the G500S does to me. And, most importantly in the way of quality. The types of defects that I had on the G500S aren't the type of defects you think you would ever get with a Func mouse. And sure enough, I've scoured the internet looking for negative stories, and there wasn't a lot. There's the usual stuff, but they definitely appear to promise and deliver, deliver on the promise of quality switches and components. So at the end of the day, I can definitely give it the Epyx911, worthy of your time. Cheers, guys, and as always, interested in hearing your comments. If you have this mouse and didn't agree with what I said, or just want to give me some differing opinions, or things that I may have mentioned, leave them in the comments below. Like if you like this review. If you'd like to see more of this type of review, hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you join us for a journey through game reviews. I do playthroughs, tech reports like this, and, of course, games and anime. Again, as always, cheers, guys.